Body, relax. Mind, be still. I fear what I only imagine. Maris Carriol sprinted up an empty pathway and shifted her internal focus to a more powerful collegium litany. She must not dwell on the danger. Mind, you are calm. Body, you are strong. A falsely tranquil, androgynous voice drifted down from the bulkhead. Passengers, report to shelter area. Please walk. Do not endanger yourself or others by running. Passengers, report. She careened around a corner and was absorbed by a crowd plodding along in soft shipboard slippers. A green light flashed up ahead. Someone shouted. Heads turned right and vanished through a hatch. Breathing hard, Maris let the flow carry her through the doorway. The secure cabin was barely adequate for 30 passengers, as she'd learned in yesterday's shelter drill. Gray metal containers lined the bulkheads. Ventilation fans hummed softly, but it smelled close anyway. Blue strip lights high overhead cast an eerie light on stressed faces. Since nearly everyone on board the Daystar could speak mind to mind, it seemed weirdly quiet. She'd gotten used to people around her acting strangely, cocking their heads or staring as if listening to voices she couldn't hear. In this moment, it felt freshly ominous. She paused just inside the door, heart thumping. Where was Anala? Maris! She spun around. Several people knelt around something down on the deck, including her college room partner, Anala Caldwell. Anala straightened and waved. Maris! Maris guided on Anala's coppery hair and caught a glimpse of something redder. Blood? As she shouldered between two older people. Med student, let me through. Was Anala hurt? They might all die of radiation, but maybe not. And here was an immediate crisis. A youngster lay on the textured black deck, a boy of maybe 10 or 11, his face shocky, blood spurting from his thigh. Jagged bone poked through his pant leg. Maris swallowed, her throat suddenly thick. Fractures weren't her school's specialty, nor Anala's. Still, that bleeding had to be stopped, and there was no med spec on this shuttle's passenger manifest. She shoved aside her fear of radiation as she reached the group. Swiftly twisting her hair into a rope, she knotted it at the nape of her neck. Tell me what to do. Is there a styptics kit? I just sent for... Here it comes! Anala's river of red hair was already tied back. Simple fracture. Thank the Holy One. Anala scooted aside, and a man wearing a midnight blue uniform tunic wedged himself into the kneeling circle and sank down. He pushed a red metal container at Anala. Anala plunged both hands into the box and tossed Maris a sterile wipe. Then she went back to digging. The injured youngster whimpered. A black-haired woman knelt beside him, gripping his hand and trying to turn his head away. She plainly didn't want him to look at the ugly injury. Since he wasn't screaming, she probably was doing something mental against his pain, too. Lucky child. Or maybe not. Maris scrubbed her hands with the wipe, wondering how in the starry whirl a child could have broken a femur in this small space. High above this deck, the stacked containers looked climbable. Had he been playing up there? If he hadn't been lying there bleeding, she might have envied his freedom. She focused on the moment's need instead, eyeing her room partner's progress. Step 1 always was to treat for shock. Someone had covered him with a gray blanket. Next, stop bleeding. Would they need a tourniquet? No, Anala had a styptics kit. Third, reduce the fracture. That would be next. Actually, it was good to think about something other than having her chromosomes cooked. Femoral fractures required major traction. It looked like they would have plenty of strong help. Still, that looked like a lot of blood. Maris addressed the black-haired woman holding the boy's hand. She couldn't be many years out of school herself. These Sentinels married so young.